Aloha and good afternoon. Thanks for tuning in to This Is Now. I'm Dylan Ancheta in the HNN Digital Center. We begin this week in the courts as several suspects in high-profile cases appeared before judges today. Appearing in circuit court via video conference this morning was Justin Akana. He's suspected in a deadly stabbing in Nanakuli. Prosecutors say the 28-year-old stabbed to death 62-year-old Dennis Wilson at Nanakuli Beach Park after an argument over money and cigarettes earlier this month. He was previously indicted, and today his lawyer entered a plea of not guilty. Akana could potentially spend the rest of his life in prison if he's convicted because of the alleged victim's age. His bail was previously set at $1 million. His jury trial is set to begin January 22nd next year. Meanwhile, Tommy Carvalho was also set to appear in court. He's accused in a deadly stabbing of a nurse at the Hawaii State Hospital. And on Hawaii Island, there were opening arguments in the murder case of Casey Smith. Patricia Wong and Peter Fuerte are on trial. This case dates back to 2009, when Smith was found with a single gunshot wound to her head. Authorities said the scene was manipulated to make the death look like a suicide. We have a camera there, and we will bring you the latest on later editions of Hawaii News Now. A 19-year-old man is recovering today after he was attacked with a knife at Kapolei Skate Park. Sources say he thought he was meeting a woman late Saturday, but instead he was confronted by a man who repeatedly stabbed him in the neck and chest. The victim was hospitalized, and meanwhile, the search for his attacker continues. HPD has not yet provided a description of the suspect or any added details. An adult and child were also hospitalized after a dog attack in Kalihi over the weekend. The 8-year-old boy and 44-year-old woman suffered serious injuries from a mixed terrier dog around 1 p.m. Saturday. Paramedics treated and brought the two to the hospital. The Hawaiian Humane Society was called to the scene to assist HPD, but we're told the dog remained on the property with the owner and not with the Humane Society. The dog must remain contained and may not leave the property until the investigation is over. Police are looking into what led up to the attack. Well, the nation is mourning the death of First Lady Rosalynn Carter, who died at the age of 96. She changed the way Americans view the role of First Lady, as she took an active part in policy during President Jimmy Carter's time in office. Natalie Brand has more from Washington.
Those signing a book of condolences at the White House Visitors Center remember former First Lady Rosalynn Carter as an icon, a humanitarian, and political partner to the 39th President, Jimmy Carter.
She was a formidable lady, well renowned for her opinions on, I suppose, equality.
Michael and Mary Kennedy from Ireland said her impact was felt beyond the United States.
Remember as a child watching her on TV, the President and Mrs. Carter. And I just have fond memories of that.
Evelyn Campbell and her daughter Amy from Ohio said the Carters' more than 77-year marriage inspired hope.
What do you remember most about former First Lady Carter?
She just seemed really genuine and down to earth and cared about people.
Rosalynn Carter is credited with transforming the role of First Lady. She advocated for issues including mental health and even sat in on cabinet meetings as well as major briefings.
My role was more one of a sounding board for Jimmy. He could explain the issues to me and in the process think them through.
After leaving the White House, the Carters continued their public service, building the Carter Center in Atlanta to promote peace and conflict resolution and partnering with Habitat for Humanity.
Yesterday when we lost former First Lady Rosalynn Carter, who walked their own path, inspiring a nation and the world along the way.
Just last week, Rosalind Carter entered hospice care with her husband, who called her an equal partner in everything he accomplished. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
The Supreme Court has struck down a petition from the former Minneapolis police officer convicted in George Floyd's death. Derek Chauvin's lawyers appealed on the basis that he did not receive a fair trial. They claim jurors in his case may have had a vested interest against acquitting Chauvin out of fear of instigating more violence. But on Monday, the U.S. Supreme Court rejected Chauvin's appeal without comment or recorded vote. A jury found Chauvin guilty of second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree and second-degree manslaughter in Floyd's death. Now, you may remember that assault was caught on video, and it sparked a national outcry over police brutality and racial injustice. Sunday marked a heartbreaking milestone for families in Colorado Springs. They gathered outside of an LGBTQ+ nightclub to mark the one-year anniversary of a mass shooting there. The gunmen killed 5 people and injured more than a dozen others last November. Brianna Clark takes us to Club Q.
Just right here would be good.
Next to her son's photo.
Yeah, Daniel's mama.
Daniel Aston, one of 5 faces memorialized on this wall.
I don't feel very strong, personally. I mainly it's just getting day by day,
It's been 1 year since Sabrina Aston's son was murdered inside Club Q. Today, she's surrounded by support.
Yeah, they're still like they both have their shirts on.
Her cousin to her right, and husband, Daniel's dad, on her left.
We just miss Daniel, and there's things that trigger memories.
Poetry is one of them.
What can I do now that you're gone? Now that you've moved to that great beyond.
Daniel was a poet.
My bicycle wheel has lost its spokes. No one's around to laugh at my dad jokes.
His dad, a musician.
You lit up a room with your smile and your wit. You and Club Q made a good fit.
Jeff wrote this poem for his son.
But random bullets from an angry man took away all your dreams and plans. Now all that loved you must make a new start, with your light to guide us within our hearts.
Jeff kept this poem private until now, reading it in front of people who also loved his son, and to some who never even knew Daniel.
Oliver knows we have trans friends. He knows about pronouns already. That exposure is really important to us. The conversation is important so that when he grows up, it's not new to him.
And it's not okay to take away love from other people, even if they're different. They look different, they sound different, and they do stuff different. That doesn't matter.
Daniel was such an outgoing, loving person. He made friends with everybody. Club Q was good because that's how they became a family.
Tolerance and acceptance. That's what they hope for future generations. In Colorado Springs, Brianna Clark, 9 News.
Back here in the islands, Philippine President Bongbong Marcos came to Honolulu this weekend, fresh off of meetings at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. He met with top U.S. military leaders at Camp Smith. He also gave a policy speech. We spoke with a local veteran journalist who covered the Marcos family and was invited to a gathering that the president had with his supporters at the Hawaii Convention Center.
They were like dancing and they were singing karaoke, and they had a guy that was like a cheerleader. Sometimes it reminded me of The Price is Right. But the thing that really amazes me is how can a guy live in exile and come back as a president? That to me is really bottom line. That's what happened. And I'm still waiting to see how it plays out.
Our Annalisa Burgos explains the significance of this visit and why it is stirring up mixed reaction.
It was a homecoming for Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., known as Bongbong, at the Hawaii Convention Center Saturday night. More than 30 years after he and his family lived in exile here, Marcos returned to Honolulu for a 2-day visit and was met with the fanfare of a concert and election rally with about 1,000 Filipino community leaders. This is Marcos's first visit back to the islands since his family was forced to flee the Philippines in 1986 after his father, former President Ferdinand Marcos Sr., was ousted by a non-violent citizen-led revolution. Marcos Sr. died in Honolulu in 1989. Marcos thanked those who helped his family, including Joe Lazo, one of the most vocal Marcos supporters from the 1980s.
When we finally moved to Makiki Heights, they were always there. We had nothing with us. They kept everything to inspect everything. These are the people who kept body and soul together of the Marcos family.
Marcos arrived Saturday night at Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam, greeted by Hawaii officials. Fresh off the APEC summit in California, Marcos shared good news with Filipino entrepreneurs in Hawaii.
I'm a businessman. I'm just looking at the economy. And the GDP increased by 5 to 7% for the last couple of years. And next year is going to be the same. I think he's doing a great job.
Marcos also expressed sympathy for those who died in the Maui wildfires and touted stronger ties between the Philippines and the U.S., reinforced by his meeting with Indo-Pacific Command leaders today at Camp Smith. From cheers and applause inside the convention center, a different scene outside.
Never again to martial law.
The Marcoses, their family likes to erase their sordid history from the history books, as in literally rewriting all of the atrocities of their father and their family and all of the crimes against humanity that they continue to commit in the Philippines against the Filipino people.
Critics say the Marcos family ignored a 1995 Hawaii District Court order to pay $2 billion in reparations to victims during his father's rule. Marcos told the crowd inside, now's the time for unity.
I ask all of you, continue to be supportive of your government and of the Philippines. You have worked hard to build your lives here. You are the glue that holds us together.
Many Filipinos in Hawaii say they're hopeful, but healing will take more effort.
I think until he addresses some of those court cases against him and against his family and really addresses that history truthfully, it's hard for the country to just simply move forward and brush it aside.
Annalisa Burgos, Hawaii News Now.
U.S. residents can once again access free COVID-19 tests. In September, the White House resumed the at-home testing program, allowing households to order up to 4 free testing kits. And starting Monday, each household can order up to 4 more tests for free. The additional tests are available ahead of the busy holiday travel season, which in the past has corresponded with a surge in COVID-19 cases. Anyone interested in a test should log on to covid.gov/tests to place an order. Back here on Oahu, a water main break is keeping the Board of Water Supply busy out in Kailua. Our Casey Lund has an update.
Aloha. The water that was on the roadway here really caused some problems over the weekend on Sunday. Again, this water main break, a 24-inch main, busted on Sunday morning around 7. Take a look at the video that we got into the newsroom. Really dramatic stuff. And while the work paused a little bit this morning to allow for the morning commute, again, they were able to get back to work around 8 o'clock. We do know that this was a headache for folks, especially those who had their vehicles either almost completely submerged or partially submerged, causing some damage. We talked to one resident, one commuter, who says he's frustrated with the amount of water main breaks that we see around Oahu. He says he wishes the Board of Water Supply was more proactive. We also heard from the Board of Water Supply responding to those concerns.
Everywhere has old piping, they don't test it. It should have been anticipated, checked for.
Right now, the crew is excavating the 24-inch water main, which broke around 7 o'clock yesterday morning. They currently have 1 lane open in the Kaneohe bound direction near Kalaheo High School. At around 8 o'clock, they expect to close the lanes again for safety reasons, for not only for the crew, but for the motorists. So please use alternate routes wherever possible and expect delays throughout the day. They're dealing with the weather conditions as well. So if the area is there's a lot of mud in the area. And as a reminder, they are still excavating, so we don't know the extent of the damage of the main yet. And we don't have a timeline until we can actually get to the main and assess the damages.
Again, the Board of Water Supply tells us they had a goal to complete about 21 miles worth of replacement for water mains. That was delayed a little bit because of the resources that they had to shift to responding to the Red Hill water crisis. So we know that they're also telling us that water main breaks aren't really on the rise. They just happen to happen quite a bit. As a matter of fact, they, for the last 7 years, have consistently seen between 340, 350 breaks a year on average. So they say those numbers aren't gradually increasing. They do apologize for the inconvenience. Again, there's no word exactly on when all this work will be done, but we do know they'll, at least for today, have some pretty inclement weather as they work to repair that main after isolating it over the weekend. Reporting outside Kailua Town, I'm Casey Lunn. We'll send things back into the studio for now.
The town-bound lanes of the Likelike Highway through the Wilson Tunnel reopened Saturday night. That's good news for commuters. The state says crews finished replacing 25 critical ceiling rods, and they will be installing 25 more. This comes after routine inspections discovered the damage in the tunnel. Future closures to complete the installation will soon be scheduled. While retail sales are expected to soar to new heights this holiday season, the workforce has taken a nosedive. That's according to new data that retailers posted the lowest number of seasonal job openings since 2013. But for those who did nab a seasonal position, there may be some good news. Mike Valerio has more.
'Tis the season for sales, but while prices are down this Black Friday week, so is the number of seasonal workers.
A lot of employers now have enough people on staff where they only need a slight uptick in the number of employees that they're going to have for the holiday season.
According to Andy Challenger from outplacement services firm Challenger Gray and Christmas, this year retailers advertised the lowest number of seasonal positions in a decade. Just 2 years ago, retailers hit a record high, nearly 1 million holiday jobs.
During the pandemic years, retailers were seeing unprecedented desire from Americans to buy their products. They were strapped.
Today, numbers have dropped a sharp 40% compared to pandemic times, indicating the type of employees needed for seasonal work has changed.
There has been this massive migration to e-commerce, which really changes the types of workers that companies and retailers need to hire during the holidays.
Glassdoor chief economist Aaron Terraza says it's no longer about face-to-face customer engagement.
Amazon was the only major retailer to announce a big uptick in the number of employees that they're expecting to hire this season.
And while brick and mortar jobs tend to shed holiday hires by January, some seasonal jobs in the e-commerce market may be around for, let's say, an extended season.
Those companies tend to keep seasonal workers on through February, sometimes even March.
In Los Angeles, I'm Mike Valerio.
Thank you so much, Mike, for that report. Excuse me. Let's take you outside live now to Maui. This is our live camera looking at Wailea Beach Resort. The clouds are in the sky there, not super heavy, but we do know there is a weak cold front that is moving through the state and will actually be stalling in and around Maui County, increasing their showers throughout the day. Here on Oahu, there have been some early morning showers, but some of the skies are clearing up around the island. For more on your island weather forecast, stick with us. Guy Hoggy will be back after the break.
We're getting our fair share of rain today as well as tomorrow from a weak front. Now that front, once it passes by, stronger trade winds will fill in behind it. And that's why we're going to have some gusty winds today and tomorrow, mainly for Kauai and Oahu. For Maui County, they might get some stronger winds by tomorrow. And then those breezes will kind of ease up tomorrow a little bit, but we'll still get a nice steady trade wind breeze. And then after that, the winds go really slow until we're looking at Sunday when the winds start to pick up again. So your 7-day forecast shows some wind shifts as well as rain, right? Rain today from that cold front, mainly for Oahu and for Maui County. The rain's going to ease up for Kauai later on today. And then we'll see drier conditions tomorrow. Some of the moisture will linger around on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we're expecting lots of sunshine with drier conditions. Thanksgiving is looking really nice. But again, we're going to see wet conditions come in from another cold front over the weekend.
Thank you so much, Guy, for that forecast. Well, an iconic toy retailer is making a comeback. Toys R Us. They're heading back to Minnesota 5 years after they declared bankruptcy and closed all of their stores in the U.S. Now, shoppers are excited to welcome them back to the brick and mortar stores. How and why did this happen? Here's Sharon Yu.
This is the former home of Toys R Us in Bloomington. It was one of more than 700 stores in the U.S. that closed in 2018 after the company filed for bankruptcy in 2017. Now in 2023 and a few miles that way, Toys R Us is making a great comeback. 3.6 miles away from this very location, to be exact, at the Mall of America, you can expect to see Toys R Us back from the ashes, a location that surprises University of Minnesota marketing professor George John.
It's a bigger move than you would expect. A lot of times when they try to resuscitate a brand, they'll start small and try to grow. This one's the other way around. They're saying, hey, if we can make it go here, that gives us the pad, the launch pad to spread it out to other places.
John says a coming back of a brand in brick and mortar form is actually not that rare.
A lot of brands go out of business and the company goes out of business. But in marketing, we think of the brand having value in of itself. And some of these brands still have value even though the company went out of business.
The warm and fuzzy memories of shopping at Toys R Us as a kid or Christmas shopping there for your kid, that's value.
I think what Toys R Us has, it's a toy destination. Look at the title of the name of the store. So the setting, and especially families or children, you can imagine that was always a happy place. So that particular association fits into nostalgia, fits into being recreated.
Nostalgia, which is something online retailers do not ring up.
So the key will be, how do I get people to come into my store when I know that I can search online and buy it? What we see brick and mortar people doing now is to make it into an experience. So I'm going to guess, this is purely a guess, they're going to add things like Build-A-Bear and things that have an experience component to it.
And whether that, plus the memories, would be lucrative enough is yet to be seen.
If you're shopping at Windward or Pearl Ridge Mall, keep an eye out for these giant red giving machines. Governor Josh Green and First Lady Jamie Green unveiled the machines on Saturday, which makes donating gifts easier. Users can choose which gift they'd like to give someone in need. Options range from groceries to urgent dental work, household goods, and more.
Super easy. It's kind of fun too because you have multiple things that you choose. $1 is assigned to, say, 2 pounds of food, or $15 to feed a family for a whole day. You push that, and then you put your credit card, and then it adds up, and it's a donation. But it's a palpable donation based on need. And so I think these machines were a brilliant idea.
The machines will be operating through January 1st. Let's go ahead and give you some good news now. Of course, those giving machines are a welcome sight in our malls every holiday season, but we want to turn to some news out of Miss Universe. The Miss Universe competition happened over the weekend, and a big congratulations to Miss Nicaragua. She won the coveted crown and the title of Miss Universe 2023. Her name is Shanice Palacios. She beat out 84 other contestants representing many countries from around the world. She, as you can see here, was overwhelmed with emotion during the crowning ceremony there. This year's competition brought together 84 of the contestants, and it took place in El Salvador. It was a very energetic and exciting crowd. I watched from preliminary night, preliminary evening gown, national costume, all the way to the finales. Miss Thailand placed as first runner-up, and Miss Australia came in second runner-up. Palacios takes the crown from Arbany Gabriel, who was Miss USA, who served last year as Miss Universe. Now, a really interesting thing about Miss Nicaragua, she is the first person from her country to win the crown. She brought so much joy and pride to them. A big congratulations to her. And happening in New York City, of course, everyone is getting excited for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, but also check out their storefronts. They are fully decked out and festive. You can see the nutcrackers, the polar bears, the holiday-themed display there. All Christmas joy in the air. So excited for that. Let's finish today with a live look outside. We thank you so much for watching. This is